Welcome everyone. We're just waiting for a few more to join in before we kick off.
So I'm just about to start this lunch and learn. Just waiting to see if there's anyone else. I might kick off by doing the acknowledgement to country. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we work today and pay respect to elders past and present and emerging, and extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that may be joining us today. I'd also like to acknowledge any fellows or life fellows of the Planning Institute of Australia that are present today. I think we'll get started. Good afternoon and welcome all. Thank you for joining us. This is our final session of an 8-part Lunch and Learn series that the Planning Institute Women in Planning Network team have set up. Thank you for joining us, and thank you if you have joined us for other series. We brought this to you to offer a space for discussion and share ideas, support professional development, and give Women in Planning Network a space to get to know each other. Sorry about my background. I do have some construction work happening outside that you may hear some drilling. So I'll turn off my mic in a second. Just today, just a quick overview. Today's session will cover topics and the tips and tricks with the Word documents. And we're very lucky to have Natalie Allen, our very own PIA Women in Planning Network team, Natalie Allen. She's a town planner and a business operations manager with MMJ, which is a company based in Wollongong and Nowra. Natalie has over 20 years of experience in the development industry across real estate, property development, building design, and planning disciplines. Natalie is an accomplished and integrity-driven professional with a high level of self-efficacy and positive attitude and determination. Natalie is associated with many professional groups, and she's also been an award winner this year. So congrats, Natalie, and thank you for joining us. I'll hand it over to you now, please, Natalie, to get the session started. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks everyone. Thanks Kendall for the introduction. So today we're going to go through, I'm just going to share my screen. Someone can give me a thumbs up when they can see that. Hopefully it all works. Yes, thank you, Elisa. It's really hard when you do these things and everyone's got their cameras off because I'm looking at you, but it's a blank wall of names. So thumbs up, and anything else you can do for let me know that you're still there and listening is great. Thank you. So Word is something that we all use every day, pretty much. It's really interesting seeing the kids come out of school in uni at the moment when they're using Google Docs, and then they come into the work environment and potentially don't know some of the features that are available in Word. But also, Word is one of those things where you use it all the time, but you don't always go looking for different features and things it can do. And what I've found is, although I'm not I don't call myself an expert in Word, but I do tend to find that when I'm talking to other people, they're not aware of some of the cool features that it can do that can actually save them time in writing reports and things like that. So I just thought I'd throw all those learnings together into 21 tips and tricks and run through them with you. Obviously, if you've got a spare screen open while you're eating your lunch and you can play along, feel free to, and it will have time for questions as well. So if you've got anything particular that you want to learn, if I know it, I'll share it. If I don't, we'll figure it out together. It's an interactive session, so as I said, if you want to jump in and you can do it. Otherwise, I have put a copy of these notes as a PDF in the chat file, so you can download them later, and it's fairly conversational in the way it's laid out, so you should be able to pick it up just by watching this and following later. So let's get stuck in. I'm going to be looking at my big screen here, so if you can see me and I'm not looking at you, that's why. But our focus is on Word. So we're good to start. Everyone can see and hear me okay? Someone thumbs up? Yes? Yep. Excellent. All right. So one of the very first things that people don't use a lot, which is really helpful, is the quick access toolbar. So the quick access toolbar, can you see my mouse, guys? Yes, okay, great. The quick access toolbar sits right at the top. If you've never used it before, I encourage you to do so. You can click on this down arrow here, which is a customized quick access toolbar. And what I encourage you to do is to go straight down to show below the ribbon. The reason why is that it will then sit below the key ribbon rather than on top, which means it's more obvious, because if we look at the way that it presents up the top, it's kind of lost. You forget it's there. Some of you have never seen it before, even though it's been there every time you've opened Word. What the quick access toolbar does, it essentially gives you quick access to all of the things you use all the time. So with Word, you've got, all the different sections along here, all the different tabs. But if you, for example, go to Home and you're always highlighting stuff, you can go to Highlight, right-click, Add to Quick Access, and now it's here. So if you're constantly highlighting, it's just nice and easy right up the front. It's really helpful for things that you kind of use or struggle to find because you use them seldomly. So for example, adding comments to a document. So instead of going up here and then new comment, we can just right click, add it, and now it's always here, and we can use our comment tool very easily. Okay. So quick access means that you don't have to jump through the different tabs. Everything you use is here in one spot. If you wanted to go a step further, think about the process that you go through when you're working through a document and put them into order. If you decide, actually, I've put that there and I'm not going to use it, you can simply right click and remove it. Okay. It's a really, really helpful tool, and the more often you use it, the more you'll realize how good it is. It also is in Outlook and is also in Excel. And every time you set it up and put it in, once that's done, every time you open those software programs again, it will be there. So it remembers and it stays there for you. So just that alone will save you some time. Another one that most people know is your shortcut keys. So Control-C for copy, V for paste. But a lot of people don't know that Control-Z undoes, and Control-F allows you to find things really quickly. So they're basic things you probably already know, but there's a couple of little tips there. So if I wanted to Control-F, I can come up and I can type in the word find, for example. What it does is automatically opens my navigation page and it automatically jumps to results. And that might be as far as you've taken this. But what you can do then is you can go back to the page tab. So if you're working in a 150-page SEE, which we tend to deal with these days, don't we? Then just looking through pages becomes a bit quicker than going through all the instances of the result itself. Or if it's set up as a heading, then you can find it quickly there as well. So the thing with Word is there's always another level of functionality to what you're used to. Another little tip that I find that most people don't know is instead of doing Control-F and typing in the word, you can actually highlight the word and then Control-F. And that's something that makes it a bit easier as well. Okay. Control-V. Control-V is very cool. Most people don't know this one. Control-V allows you to highlight or copy different words or sections or paragraphs or responses and then paste them and using a select tool. So if I press Windows V, sorry, I said Control-V before, I meant Windows V, it will open up the clipboard, okay? So Windows V is a clipboard. So imagine if you took all bits of text. So if you're writing an SEE, for example, you might say not complies or meets merit with blah, blah, blah. You could copy those items once into your clipboard and then select which ones you want to paste just by pressing on them. You can also then go in and delete it or pin it. So if you had consistent things that you were adding to documents, you can use Control-V as your clipboard to clip them and then quickly enter them into your document. So that's Windows and V. Anyone know that one? Have I taught you something new already, hopefully? Okay, line and paragraph spacing. So what I've done here is in the purple text, we've got a bit of a cheat for you so you can remember where to go when you finish this. So under the Home tab, paragraph section, so home, paragraph, there's this option here, and that is your spacing for your rows. So if you wanted to extend that out to a 2.5 gap or a 2 or 1.5, for example, but also if you wanted to add spaces before or after your paragraph, this is where you do that. Where I find this most helpful is, and a lot of you that have done uni would have used this as part of your essay submissions, but we kind of forget that it's there. Sometimes you just have that one document and you really want it to sit on one page and you've covered it as much as you can and you've got your margins down as far as you can go. Sometimes you can just squish it up using that tool and make sure it fits in. And that's a little trick that I use quite often. Okay. So find and replace. Find and replace is really, really helpful, particularly if you're using a document as a basis for another document and you want to find a reference to a particular council or a particular property and replace it with something else. Or if you've realised that you've put the square meterage in wrong and you need to adjust it everywhere, using find and then replace will do that in one hit. And that is up on the Home tab. And then in the editing section, so over here. So it's fairly simple that you can either copy a word or you can press it first. If you copy the word, a bit like Control F, you can either press Control F, type your word in, or you can copy it, press Control F, and it will self-populate. Same thing here. So I can say replace throughout with throughout. Okay, and then I can replace the one document. The one instance, or I can go through and replace all of them if I'm confident that all of them need replacing, or I can just find the next selection and then decide whether I want to replace it or not. Okay. In planning documents, because this is a planning space, so I'm assuming most of you are planners, one of the most common things that I've seen is people struggling with the meters squared and changing that to the superscript. So there's a little tip you can do here to make that easier for you. And you probably notice if you go to replace, if I typed in meters squared, I can't replace it with meters squared and make that superscript because there's no option with the functionality here for me to do it. But what you can do is use the code of this little arrow and the C. So I've given you the instructions here, but basically we highlight it, just highlight the 2, make that superscript. So we've done it once, then we highlight that and we Control C to copy, okay? And then we're going to go to replace. We're going to replace meters squared with our little arrow, which sits above the 6, and C. And what that's doing is it's replacing what you've just copied. So I can then go in and press replace and it will change that M to M2. It's taken all of the font and formatting because that's what I've copied. So that little up arrow and the C is going to replace anything you've just copied. Okay, so that's how you can get your little special features in the find and replace fee. And that saves you going through and doing superscript on everything. If you're like me or my director, Luke, I think's on a call at the moment, and you get tied up with these things and then you have to go through the document, change everything so it's just so, this is a much quicker way of doing it. Okay. The navigation pane is really handy. Navigation pane, if we go to our view tab, sorry, I've just got, because I'm sharing, I've got the screen up the top, which is in my way. There it is. Okay, so under the view tab, and then we've got the show section. Okay, so the navigation pane is what popped up automatically when we did Control and F, but we can use this just by selecting it here as well. And we can use this if we have a table of contents to then quickly run through all of our documents and jump straight through to different sections. If, for example, I'll just do a quick change of this. If I made my heading and had this as heading 2 and had this as heading 3, if I go to my navigation page, no, it's not going to work. There's always something when you're explaining these things that it doesn't work. We'll come back to that one. Just going to Control Z to undo. All right, moving forward, your new best friend. This is a button called the Clear All function, and it's this little A with the eraser. You can see there it gives you, if you hover over it, it tells you what it is. It removes all formatting from the selection, leaving only whatever is considered normal. Your normal is defined up here as normal here. So in this case, normal for me is Century Gothic 10.5. So if I've got something here that is formatted and I want to strip it right back to normal, I can press the erase all function and it will come back to whatever normal is. If I decide that I want normal to actually be like this, which is Arial 14, I can highlight that text, right click and update normal to match my selection, which then means everything will respond back to that. Okay, so then I've changed what normal is. So the Clear All formatting button, if you ever get to that point where you've got so many different levels of formatting and everything's just going a little bit crazy and you need to strip it right back, that feature is great. It works as well if you've got multi-list levels or bullet points or highlighting or anything and you just need to strip it back. It's a really quick way to do that. Okay, how are we going so far? Have you learnt at least one new thing? Thumbs up. Please give me a thumbs up. Thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Judy. Elisa and Donna, thank you. Okay, so we've at least learnt one new thing. That's great. All right, so I'm just going to close down the navigation page. One of the other things I've done, and you'll see this in the PDF document in the chat, is I've given you a link directly to the Word help feature for this. So if there's something here particularly that you like and you can't remember what I've said and it's not explained in the notes, then you can jump straight into the help feature. But also that will help you to find other things. The way that I've learned all the stuff I know about Word is I just assume it can do something and then I Google it. So it's, you know, it's just learnt knowledge and you can do the same thing. All right, a lot of people don't realise that the dictate function up on Word, which is under Home and then Voice on the side, is actually quite powerful. It's much more improved than it was a few years ago. So if you are sick of typing or you're like me and your brain thinks quicker than your fingers do, you can use the dictate function and you've got an option to transcribe or dictate. But if I press that and wait for the microphone, and now it's listening to me, it's picked up the font type that was last there, and I'm just talking and it's typing for me. And it's pretty good. I've seen, you know, people with Southeast Asian accents will talk and it will pick it up. It's pretty clever and you can go pretty fast. Let's just see how fast I can talk and it will catch up to me. Okay. And then we'll just turn it off. Now that's picked up the hyperlink from my previous text. I can highlight that and press Clear All formatting and back to normal. So that's pretty cool, right? It's got double up here, but it's picked that up. That's pretty much everything I said. It's even picked up capital letters. So you'll find that pretty handy. Not so great if you're in a communal office with lots of noise, but if you're lucky enough to have your own space, then definitely take advantage of that. And sometimes you just want to download some notes while you're thinking, put it into your working doc here. Okay. this is something that I noticed a lot of people didn't realize the functionality here. So let's just say that I've got a whole bunch of text. Okay, again, it's picked up my last bit of font, so I'm just going to clear the font back to normal. If I want to quickly throw that into a table, I can highlight it and then insert and then table. And instead of just pressing on the button, anything that's got the little down arrow gives you more functionality. So I can convert that text into a table. I only just want one column. You can fiddle with all these things and go in. And straight away that text is in there. Just going to press Control-Z to go back. So insert, table, convert text to table. If I wanted that over 3 columns, it will do that for me too. So that's really clever. That leads us down to the next button, which is using auto fit. So I was really mad at myself because I didn't realize this was a feature. And I used to spend a lot of time, again, being pedantic, like my director, and trying to get the tables just so and lining the columns up and making sure it fit and looked good. And then I realized there's actually a button that does that for you. And I was like, oh, damn. Any table you have, and I'll just show you an example. I'm going to pull this in, make it a bit smaller. This is what I used to do. I used to play and fiddle with it until I got it just so. You can select any table and go up to auto fit. This is definitely a good one to right click and add to your quick access toolbar, because you'll forget about this, but when you remember it, you'll be like, damn, that's a clever idea. Quick access toolbar just gives you that link, remembering that you don't have to go looking through all these tabs to find it. When I click on the down option, I can either auto fit the table to suit my contents or the window, or I can set a fixed column width. So I might decide just to fit my contents. So it will squish it in to the right amount to make your contents fit. Or I can auto fit to window, and it will then squeeze it out as wide as you need it to go to fit into your table. Now this works as well if you've got a table inside a cell of a spreadsheet. So if you need to adjust things, it works really cleverly. So I'm sure that you will find that one helpful. If you liked me and you didn't know that existed, you will, if you get one thing out of this course today, you'll be happy for that. So that is auto fit. There's your instructions there, and that's in the PDF in the chat. Another thing that I discovered through Google, because I was constantly leaving my caps lock on and typing a whole paragraph, and I haven't quite figured out how to type and look at the screen, because when I learned how to touch type, I cheated. So that's why my typing's not, my spelling's awesome, but my typing not so much. So I quite often end up with a whole bunch of text that was in capital letters and kick myself. And I thought, surely there's a way to fix this. There is. It's called toggle case. And that is under the home tab and the font section. So it is this one here, next to our friend, clear all formatting. So essentially, I can highlight that text and I can make it all uppercase with a click of a button. If I've typed that accidentally, which is how my dad sends me text messages, you can change that to sentence case. So we'll put the capital letter and the full stops and everything in, or you can capitalize each word, or you can change it to toggle. So what it was reverses to the alternate. So that's your toggle case, and that has saved me so much time and frustration, and I hope that that helps you as well. You can use a shortcut key. Pretty much everything in Word has a shortcut key. I don't particularly like them because I can't remember them, but I know some people who learnt that old school way work much faster than clicking with a mouse because they can use their keyboard better than I can. Okay, how are we going? Everyone keeping up? I know I'm throwing lots at you, but that's why it's in notes. Hopefully you've learned at least 2 things by now. The next one is multi-list levels. So this is where you have an A, 1, 2, 3, ... as opposed to just A, B, C, D. And multi-list levels, again, sit on the Home tab and under Paragraphs. And again, that might be something you add to your quick access toolbar if it's something you use a lot. The key thing with multi-list levels is that they'll drive you mad. But the thing to remember is that you can always define a new list level, and you have to think that Word is yours and it's in your computer system attached to your subscription. So if you spend a little bit of time creating the multi-list level that works for you in your environment, then you can always select that and you'll have consistency. If you receive a document that you're going to be working on, you can always use the clear all function and then attach your own multi-list level so you have consistency through. But essentially, you have the option with the multi-list levels to change what the levels are, to change the numbering or the style. So 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, lowercase. You can change how far it's indented, all of those things. You can change the font, so you might, have it in red, for example, or blue or white or anything like that. So you can change the way that that looks through using multi-list levels. The key thing with multi-list is it does take a little bit of time to master, but once you've set it up the way you like it, it's really simple to then click on that, and you try not to use the numbering library. Try and always use multi-list and then pick the one that you've defined as being your own. If you want to indent that, because it is a multi-list level, you're just using the indent key and it will pick up what you've identified from there. You can make it as pretty as you like, but the key thing is to have it consistent. Okay, the next one is the ability to use dynamic or fixed date fields in your documents. And it used to be a feature that back in the old school, because I'm old, it was really obvious where that was and you could put your date field in. But these days they've hidden it in the developer tab. And the developer tab is not automatically up the top of your screen, but it's very easily put in place. So you need to go up to File, and then you need to go to Options down the bottom. And then you go to Customize Ribbon. And then you find the Developer tab. There it is. It's on the right. It's always unticked. You need to tick it and done. Once you've done that, it'll be there forever. So you only have to do that step once. But now you've got Developer tab. And it looks really confusing. And if you don't use macros, you can just go be like, what is that? The key thing you use on Developer tab that I find is these buttons here under Controls. So this is where you can put text boxes. Okay, so if you're creating a checklist, for example, my typing so bad. Gabby knows all about this. Gabby's on the call. So that's where you can put a tick box that people can actually go in and tick. But it's also where you can put a field where you can drop down options. You can also change the design mode of that. So you can click here to do this. And the other thing you can do is add the date field, which is drop down. Maybe it's hidden. It used to be in here. That one. So that is your date field here. So if you wanted to then set a date, so you would use this if you as a planner, if you wanted to have a pro forma template, you can easily just select date fields. There's a bit more information in there for you in the document. I won't spend too much time on it because Developer tab, you really want to get into it. And if you don't like that kind of stuff, you're probably better to stay away. Adding draft or watermark tabs. So again, under the design tab, so up top here, design tab and watermark. So I'm going to add that to my quick access toolbar. It's one of those ones, I don't know if it's just me, but it's one of those things where you know it's there, but you can never find it because there's so many tabs and you can go looking for it. By the time you find it, you're frustrated. That's just me. So I always have the draft watermark here. I never have to go looking for it again. It's always there. But essentially you can watermark your documents and it comes up with some standard ones. So you can pick that, but you can also do a custom watermark. So you could put your company logo on there, for example. You can change the color and the font and the text. And you can simply then select it and insert it and it will come across your document. So that's pretty handy. Okay, this is my favorite thing ever apart from the clear formatting button, the insert screen clipping function. So if you use the old school clip function, you might like to have a think about this one. There is a shortcut key for those of you that like shortcuts, but otherwise you're going to insert, and you've got this button here called screenshot. Okay, now as a planner, we're constantly grabbing images and putting them into our reports and everything else. So if you don't know this one, you're going to be very excited. I can click on that main button and it will pick up any open screens that I have and it will grab the screen and insert it straight into my document. Okay, this is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at you. The more detailed feature of this is insert screenshot, and you're absolutely going to want to put this one on your quick access toolbar. Use the little arrow button. Whenever there's an arrow button, there's something cool. Under here, there's all my screens. And by the way, if one of those screens was a website with a URL, you can set it so the URL automatically adds as a caption to the screenshot, which is very clever. But here's the one I use all the time. It's screen clipping. Okay, so screen clipping is different to a screenshot, which grabs your whole shot. If I did screen clipping, I can still use this function and I can edit it. You know, I can move it around, I can make it smaller, I can crop it, all of those things. But for a planner's use, I don't need to go find it, do I? It's on my quick access. Go to screen clipping. You do need to make sure that you have whatever screen you're going to clip from available to view, as opposed to available windows, which could be multiple windows sitting in the background that you've got open. But screen clipping will all of a sudden make your screen grey, and then you can drag and drop and insert a particular section of the screen. Now you probably can't see that because I'm sharing one screen, not another. But essentially what happens is your screen goes grey for a second, you take your mouse and you drag from the left to the right and let go, and it pops it straight into your document. Okay, so when you're working through different mapping and you just want to grab a whole bunch of stuff and pull it in, that works really well. So I encourage you to play with that one. We will use it all the time. And the other thing that I'll just do that again, just so it's got a screen clipping. Okay, so I've just grabbed that from my screen. The next one down is how to caption your own images. I can right click and insert caption, or I can go to the reference tab and then insert caption, but I'm always going to add that because you should always obviously be referencing your selections. So pop that on your quick access toolbar. Right click's easy enough, but it's here as well if you need to go through. And the thing that a lot of people don't know is you can change the label. So it will automatically populate with one, but you can change it to figure, to table, or you can create a new label. So you might call it screenshot. And now you can say screenshot 1, blah, 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 or screenshot 2, it will pop up automatically. Okay. And that gives you your caption labeling. And if you're doing your table of contents, you can add that as a level list in there as well. How many people, with your hands up, how many people use the styles function on the home tab? when you're creating your documents? Is that something that people are actively using? A thumbs up or a thumbs down? Anyone? Hello. Thank you, Taylor. Okay, so there's a couple of people replying there that they don't use styles. So styles is a way to get consistency. Okay, thanks, Donna. Thanks, Christy. The styles function is a way that you can set the level of font and type for your document so it's consistent, and it also helps you build your table of contents. Okay, so like we saw before, you can absolutely, if we expand that down, it automatically will populate with a table of contents heading, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. Now, certainly you can highlight your text and you can use all of these functions under the font key to adjust them. But if you want to have consistency in your documents, then you highlight the kind of font you want, and then you right click to say, okay, I want my heading 2 to look like that. I want my normal document, my normal text, to be purple. Okay, and everything that you said is normal is now going to look like that. The reason you use styles is because it will allow you not only to create a really nice table of contents, because it will automatically, if you've applied the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 to any of your text, it will then know that that's a heading and put it in the table of contents automatically. But it also means that you've got consistency in your document. Sorry, press the wrong button. You've got consistency there in your text and your font. If you're using Word templates at work, then you should try and have a consistent style in those templates so that every time you open a document, it is the same font throughout your organisation and the same heading and the same heading layout. Spending a little bit of time playing with styles will make your life much easier. I haven't got a link to extra information on that, but I can certainly share it later if you like. It's definitely worth something. It takes a little while to get used to, and it's definitely easier if you start your document using styles rather than try and retrospectively add it to something, because you can start to mess things up a little. But if you can start your document before you do any typing or anything else, determine what type of font is normal, add heading 1, 2, and 3. If there are things in the style button that you're never going to use, like subtle reference, you can right click and remove it from your style gallery. Okay, so we've quite often, when we've done, say, checklists for council, for example, we will just give them 4 styles. We'll remove everything else, we'll give them 4 styles, and we teach them how to use and apply those 4 styles, and that document will always come out looking consistent. So definitely play with styles. It's probably we don't have too much time to go through it today, but definitely worth looking at. Inserting a table of contents is as easy as pressing the references tab and insert table of contents. If you've used styles, it's click of a button and it happens. Okay. The other little button that's really handy is the editor button, which is checks for your spelling, your grammar. It goes through and you can now write down into it. But also, if you haven't used Grammarly before, absolutely Google Grammarly. It's free, it's a plugin, it works across your emails and your Word document, and it will change your life, particularly if you are a bad typer like me. I'm conscious of the time, we're getting close, so I'm whipping through these. I'm going to gloss over Word templates, but suffice to say, if you are using the same document over and over and over again, spend some time to get it right. Create it as a Word template, and you do that by just File, Save As, and select Template as your file type. Be careful where it saves to. It automatically wants to pop somewhere, but you tell it where you want to save. And a template works as a master document, and when you double click it, it will create a version of that template for you to start working in. So if you haven't templated the documents you always use and you're just saving as or copying previous work, please stop doing that. Use templates. It's very, very powerful. And if you adjust your template as things change, you'll always have a current document to work off. Using the View tab and doing side by side will allow you to have multiple screens on your page. And one of the last ones I want to show you is using your Windows button, and the left arrow will split your screen in two. You can also use the Windows button and right arrow and split it the other way. But that is very handy, particularly if you're blessed with a big monitor. You can split two different screens onto your page very quickly by using Windows and the left or right arrow. In the document I've given you in the chat there's a whole bunch of other stuff which you might find handy as well. But that basically is 40 minutes of tips and tricks of Word, and I hope that you enjoyed that. I'm happy to take any questions if you like. Feel free to unmute yourself and have a chat, or go and eat your lunch. Thanks.
Thanks, Natalie. That's great. Thank you. I'm definitely going to use the dictate function. Yeah, that's something as a not a touch typer, I'll definitely use better. I feel it'll be more efficient. Yeah, thanks. Have you shared in the chat, where is the PDF? Was that?
Yeah, there should be a PDF in the chat right up the top called Lunch and Learn.
Just looking. Where?
Hopefully you can see that.
I can't see it. Just looking in the meeting chat. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see it.
Okay, it might have been because you came in after I shared it. Let me just do it again.
Yeah,
1 sec.
Thanks.
It's just loading now.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yes.
There we go. Yeah, maybe if you
Thank
came in
you.
after I did it, it didn't pop up. So hopefully everyone can see that there. It's basically the word I was ducking on. There's a question there. Thanks, Brissy. Is there any way to recover tracked changes that I've already accepted? There likely is. Google it. I don't know. I've literally learned everything I know about Google by Googling, for Word for Googling. I imagine there is, but it's not something I've done. Sorry, it's not very helpful. But
no,
that's. Any other questions?
Yeah, anyone else? No? All right. No, there's some thank yous there, Natalie. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, that was good. Just it's good to have that document, thanks, to refer back to as we navigate Word and our SEEs.
They're getting longer and longer, right?
Yeah, they are. Gosh, yes. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really good. Yeah, we definitely all use Word on a daily basis in some capacity. So thank you. Yeah, I think that's all. And thanks everyone for attending this year. It's been great to share this knowledge and have everyone sort of involved. So thank you. All right, I think that's all. Pia, is there anything from you, Ben or Jen?
Everything's all good. Thanks, guys.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that. All right. Yeah, all the best to everyone for the end of year run, and hopefully we'll do something like this next year. Thanks again, Natalie. And thanks, Ben.
Thanks, bye.
Adios, guys. Have a great evening.
Thanks, bye.